So I want to begin by thanking everyone for joining us. This is the first in what we're calling the Social Media Careers Speaker Series. This is a partnership between Social Media Studies at Duke, which is a new initiative I'm spearheading, as well as Duke Innovation and Entrepreneurship, the Markets and Management Program, and Dinin. Basically, the gist is, we're starting to believe and recognize that social media and the social media industry offers a variety of incredible new career opportunities, specifically to people in this demographic of students, because it's a very young industry, and there's just not a lot of leaders in it yet, right? So there's lots of opportunities to move into the industry and move up kind of rapidly into the industry and really set the direction. It's also an industry that needs kind of a lot of help setting direction and and making sure it goes in kind of productive and useful ways. So we wanted to start this series as an opportunity to make sure students who are interested in possibly pursuing social media careers have access to people such as our guest today, Emma Welch, who are working in the social media industry. So with that, I want to introduce our guest. This is Emma Welch, Trinity 2015. Is that correct?
I'm actually 16.
2016. Okay. Oh, I have messed up the marketing then. Then Trinity 2016, content partnerships coordinator at TikTok. And so what we've got here is I've got a whole list of about 40 or 50 questions that have been submitted ahead of time. We're obviously not going to get through all of those questions, but that'll be kind of my guiding template. And that comes from my social marketing class that have kind of prepped those questions. We'll use those as a guide, but I also want to emphasize that this is for all of you listening and watching, and it's not so much for me, right? And so if you have questions at any time, feel free to chime in. You can add them in the chat. We'll try to keep tabs on that, or you can jump in if there's a good pause in the conversation. I'll try to pause and open it up to questions. The only thing I'm going to ask as we do those questions is I ask that we keep our questions focused on Emma's experiences and thinking about TikTok creators and partnerships, or maybe how she got into the role, her experiences at Duke, those kind of things. By that, I mean, it's not really Emma's role to speak for TikTok in terms of, any administration policies and what may or may not be coming, right? And so we want to stick with things that, kind of relate to careers. We don't need to get into, TikTok's, legal policies and those kind of things, unless they're related to careers. Is that a kind of a fair assessment?
Yeah, I don't know anything about any of that, so.
Exactly.
Worth asking anyway.
Fair enough. So with that in mind, I always like to kind of start by saying, hey, Emma, can you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so thanks for the intro. I'm going to go through a little bit of like how I got here, because I think it's relevant for all of you as you're looking to, work in social media. When I graduated from Duke, I definitely didn't think that I was going to be working in the social space at all. I joined Macy's executive development program, which is like a very traditional first job out of college. You join with like 50 other recent grads to do merchandising. I thought that I wanted to work in retail and fashion, and that was going to be the thing to do. When I was at Macy's, I was working in the they called it contemporary handbags, but it included Betsy Johnson, and we did a collaboration with Betsy Johnson and the Trolls movie, which is, throwing it back a little bit for any of you who have seen that. And I had a really fun time doing that collaboration. And I ended up talking to a couple of friends that were out in LA who were like, you can do that kind of thing all the time. There are like whole agencies in LA that do those kind of collaborations and partnerships with movies. So I came out to LA thinking that I was going to do that. And I started in the mailroom at a talent agency. Just sort of ended up getting on the first desk that called for me. The boss that I worked for at my first talent agency had kind of just fired her assistant on the spot, and they came to the mailroom and they were like, we need someone to go over there. And I stayed with her, and she and I had a great relationship, so she didn't fire me, just a bad assistant before me. And that is where I sort of got deep into the like talent part of Hollywood, which I never really thought that I was gonna do in the first place. So that was working with, your traditional actors and actresses and getting them all their sort of ancillary opportunities outside of TV and film. So anytime you see somebody in a commercial or doing paid social or even, launching their own collaboration or whole line. We were working on those kind of things. Moved over to another agency to continue doing that. And then when I was at my other agency, got super obsessed with this app that was sort of in its infancy, at least for people my age. You guys were probably all using it maybe a little bit earlier than me, but it was like fall 2019, before the pandemic. TikTok was definitely picking up speed, but definitely not as big as it is now. And I was like, I need to work at this company. I'm so obsessed with it, and just sort of pursued it. So then I joined them right at the beginning of 2020. Perfect timing. I got like 2 weeks in the office. And then the pandemic hit and TikTok blew up because everyone was at home. And now the team that I joined, that was like 10 people at the time, is now hitting 40. And the company is insane. We were just talking about parking. I'm very afraid of the parking situation when we go back to the office, because the company is quadrupled at least. So that's where I am now. And to give you guys a little bit of context into what content partnerships means, we basically are responsible for managing the relationships with anybody who creates organic content on TikTok. So that is anybody from like your Charli D'Amelio's, just straight up like TikTok creators, to brands that have organic presences. So I don't really do anything with like marketing or paid ad space on TikTok. It's all about, if you go to like Netflix's account, what videos are they just sort of like organically posting on their own? So yeah, our team does all of that.
Hey, well, thank you for that context and that intro. I can, just if you want a little color about when these students really started getting on TikTok, I can tell you that at the beginning of the pandemic, I was teaching my social marketing class, and there was about, I think it was 16 students. Only one of them was on TikTok, and about 2 weeks into the pandemic, all but one were on TikTok. So TikTok was still kind of right as the pandemic hit. It was still kind of a younger, generally a younger demographic than it was. Hannah, she just noted in the chat. So it was a really interesting shift to see. So I want to start by asking a question. Can you give us a sense of what a typical day looks like for you as a content partnerships coordinator at TikTok? What parts, what are you doing? What do you kind of find most rewarding? What's difficult about that job?
Yeah, so the way that the team is separated out is by our creator team, which are sort of like creator growth strategists who manage a set number of creators each day. So they have like a roster of 20 to 60 creators on TikTok that they're working one-on-one with. Our media partnerships team, which is siloed off into category. So we have our sports lead, who manages all of our sports partners, our entertainment lead, who does all those entertainment brands. And then we have our community team, and that's sort of for all of our creators that maybe aren't big enough on the platform yet to have a direct one-on-one manager. So we do large scale sort of community programming with them. So like a good example is, because I've got the background on, we've been doing a lot of Black History Month programming and working on like our Black community of creators on TikTok, doing special programming for them this month, office hours, that sort of thing. So my job is, I am supposed to be sort of like the connective tissue between all three of those groups. So making sure that we're not, off in our silos working on the same issue in three separate groups, making sure that, pain points that we run into get addressed, if everybody's running into them. So it's a lot of, at the beginning of my job, a lot of figuring out how verifications were going to work on TikTok. That was a big thing when I first started. Everybody was just sort of like scrambling to figure out how to get people verified as they were joining, because people were joining so quickly. So as an example, we sort of like took that process and have streamlined it and tightened it up. So now hopefully people that get verified should actually be people that deserve verifications and not just like whoever fills out the form like it used to be. And then a lot of things like that. So we've been doing a lot of activations lately with like paid programming. So for example, again, around Black History Month, we might have a Black public figure come and speak to our like Black community. And so we will do payments for that. I do a lot of the like actual, how do we get these people paid? Coming from the agency world, I think that I'm sort of the person on my team who knows how to work with the agencies, and there's all sorts of difficulties with like money gets paid to agencies so that they can take commission out and then they pay creators, but our finance doesn't really understand that as people who don't really work with talent that often. So stuff like that, all sorts of troubleshooting. I don't have the handle I want, my videos were blocked, all that sort of stuff is like the stuff that sort of crowds up my day-to-day. On an ideal day today, I would be doing growth strategy all day. So that's talking to people that want to launch their TikTok accounts or already have, about what's working for them, what could work for them, some tips to like get their videos performing better, some extra opportunities that we can offer for them. I don't know if any of you guys spend any time on like our live programming. I know a lot of people don't, so it's okay. But if you leave your For You page ever, we do have our Discover page. And we have live programming available there. A lot of it is themed. So we'll organize like around Thanksgiving, we organize a bunch of our cooking channels to do like live stream recipes for Thanksgiving, stuff like that. So yeah, that's the fun part of my job. And then there's all the operational stuff.
Logistics, fair enough. Well, so I want to dive into some of those kind of advice and, things that as you get partners on, what you encourage them to do. But before we ask that question, I feel almost obligated to ask, what does it take to be a verified account now? I mean, what's the what's the metric you're looking for?
So we're not allowed to share that information. And ultimately, like, I'm not the person who gets to decide that. We take in verifications and we submit them to our privacy team, who runs the account through a number of, levels of checking whether or not it qualifies for verification and also whether or not it is appropriate to be verified on TikTok. So for example, alcohol brands aren't supposed to be verified on TikTok. So a lot of them, obviously qualify for it. They're real operating brands, but we are a younger platform, so we try to avoid doing that. So lots of factors.
Fair enough. And out of curiosity, how do you source potential partnerships, opportunities, or kind of identify, people that would kind of fall into the bucket of creator versus just average user?
Yeah, so that's a great question because I think before the pandemic, it was a lot more outreach. And after the pandemic, we get a lot more incoming. People are wanting to be considered creators more. We really try to keep an eye out for people that are growing really quickly, have Bella Porch is a great example of this. She was not one of our managed creators prior to her, I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she is the M to the B. She makes all the faces. Prior to that video coming out, we were not in touch with her. And that video blew up. Her account blew up. Every video after that was getting really high views. We were like, there's something here. So we reached out to her. But yeah, we just look for those anomalies. And then on the brand front, it's very much incoming.
And so when you work with these partners and creators, can you give us, I guess, some insights into, what do you teach creators about things like the For You algorithm? Any things you can share us? What are you helping them with, and what can we learn from that?
Yeah, there's all sorts of For You tips and tricks. I will start by saying there is no golden ticket to getting your video on the For You page or successful on TikTok. The beauty of TikTok is that it's a super democratic platform. So really, it's not what the algorithm likes, it's what users like. And you can follow all the best practices and never get a video that is up on the For You page. And you can ignore all of our best practices. And if people like your video, it will get out there. But that being said, I think the most important thing to consider, we, prior to TikTok existing, sort of existed in a world where YouTube and Instagram Story and Snapchat were our primary video sources. On YouTube, their most important metric is view time. So how long is somebody watching your video? So if you have a 1 hour video of soothing piano music and people are watching 20 minutes of it, that video is a better video on YouTube than a 2-minute long video where people watch the entire 2 minutes of it. On TikTok, it's the opposite. You want people to watch your video all the way to the end. That is our most important metric that the For You page takes into consideration. And What that means for all of you that are on TikTok, you probably see this in practice. I always tell people, if you can do something in one part, do it in one part. People don't like videos where you are dragging on what you're going to say. And similarly, if you can do it in 15 seconds instead of 60, do it in 15 instead of 60. People don't want you to like drag them along on TikTok. The attention span is way shorter. And so they're very quick to just like swipe away. And on a similar note, make sure that you're telling people exactly what they're signing up for in the first couple seconds, right? So instead of doing like, you guys have all probably seen this recipe and I like to cook sometimes. And so today I'm going to think about I had the ingredients, I'm going to do the feta pasta. Like start your video with, today I'm making the feta pasta that you've been seeing everywhere, and then people can be like, I see that this video is long. Because, on TikTok, you get the progress bar on the bottom only if it's like above a certain length. So people can sort of tell that it's a long video when they come on, but they will stick around because they know exactly what they're getting from it. So that's a big one. Another thing is we really, really encourage people to lean into trends. I know that seems obvious on TikTok, but you'd be surprised that people don't do it. And don't use random hashtags. That doesn't do you any good on TikTok. It really doesn't. Don't use hashtag FYP. Don't use hashtag cats. It's a video of your cat. If cat is not on the discover page, then it's useless for you to put hashtag cat on your video because no one is just going to go click into the hashtag cat and find your video. If you are, doing something that is directly, you're using like the Rasputin song right now and you're going to hashtag that, then people are actually going to be engaging with that hashtag right now and look into it and might see your video through there. I see someone, I click into the hashtag cat sometimes. So some people do. Very much not how our user works. Our user is much more on the discover page. So those are the two big ones. And then aside from that, I'd say, I see a lot of chatter on TikTok about you have to be a pretty girl to get your videos high. The only reason Charlie does well is because she's like, she's good looking. I don't think that that's true. I think if you're saying that, then probably it's because that's what you're favoring on your FYP, so you're seeing it there. But I would say don't be so worried about how you look when you make a TikTok. Just make a TikTok. Like things get going all the time that are people who just got out of the shower and they have like a towel on their head and they're just like talking to the camera. It really doesn't matter. I think the TikTok algorithm and users really prefer things that are really casual and organic, seem like you kind of made them randomly, and make things frequently. That's another thing we always tell people. This is sort of not so much like a TikTok thing, but you can find lots of articles about this online. People have like tried to hack this, but there are all these theories about like, if you post 5 times a week for 10 weeks, you can get X number of followers. Again, all that's not guaranteed and like not a best practice I've ever heard internally, but we do recommend that the more you post, the more views you're going to get total on your account, the more your account's going to get shared with people. So post frequently, don't think too hard about it. You don't have to doll yourself up for every video, just make it.
So I guess I find myself wondering what kinds of content work well on TikTok versus, I always argue in my class that, different social media platforms work better for different types of content and types of creators. So what kind of creators do you really encourage into TikTok versus are there any that you say, this isn't really what our platform is best suited for?
Yeah, so that kind of changes depending on what we're seeing on the platform. So we will sort of like adapt our strategy every once in a while based on what you guys are telling us that you like. So recently we saw a big uptake in fitness content, sort of going into the new year, makes sense. So we can sort of direct any of our creators that have an interest in fitness or like a fitness flair to really lean into that during the time that we're seeing that trending. Other than that, obviously dance and comedy always do well on TikTok. That's not always like our preferred kind of content. We'd really like there to be more nutritious content on the platform. There's been a big push for educational and instructional stuff lately, which as a user, I really appreciate. And, I think it includes things like, here are my top 10 Amazon hauls from January. That is technically like instructional. And I really like those kind of videos. I always advise people to lean in on that kind of stuff. But yeah, it kind of changes.
So you don't mean like college professor giving lectures? That's disappointing.
I think it could work though. That's the other thing, is like nothing's off limits, you know. I think the most important thing is just to be like really authentic to you. Make sure it's something that you have a lot of content to talk about. You know, like if you want to do professor does little mini lectures on TikTok, make sure that you have a lot of them to do and that it's very authentic, and just run with it. Again, like we always say, the worst thing that can happen to a TikTok video is that no one sees it. Like, you know, just if you have an idea, just make it, just put it out there and put your phone down, wake up the next morning, and, you know, it could have 1 million views, or it could have 2. And it's like, you tried.
Fair enough. What are some untapped aspects of the application that you think individuals are kind of missing out on or could be using more? You know, where would you kind of point us to? You kind of already alluded to like the live stuff, for example.
Yeah, live's a big one. If you have any kind of TikTok following, I would really recommend going live. It's a great way to engage with your audience. Even if you have audiences on other platforms, go live there. Another thing is that don't be afraid to sort of like commingle your platforms. You know, we at TikTok are not like, we're not telling anybody you have to delete your Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, come only use TikTok. We're very much the opposite of that. We really want people to link their Instagrams to their TikToks, post your TikToks on your Instagram and Facebook, you know, really like commingle things. Obviously with Reels coming out, that's like been a big question for everybody. Like, should I, like I've seen a lot of influencers being like, should I start doing this whole video thing because it's on Instagram now? And if you're ever thinking about that, I would say make the video on TikTok, because TikTok has way better video editing tools, and then download it and post it to Reels, and you get the best of both worlds. You're on both platforms. You're getting double the amount of views on it. Don't be afraid to commingle things. I think people get very nervous about that. Other than that, TikTok just really has really great video editing tools. And a lot of times people go on and they just kind of try to do the basics. And I'm very guilty of this in like my own TikTok, so no worries. But if you really take some time to dive into it and see what like editing tools are available, there's really cool stuff. And I know that people freak out when they see like the really good videos where someone like cuts back a lot or it's really smooth. And they're like, oh my gosh, this person's so good. How did they do it? They must be doing it in some third-party app. But really those people just take some time to like explore TikTok and use the tools that are available.
Okay, so there's more in there than maybe people realize when they kind of look at it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we launch several new effects each week. And maybe one will sort of like take off and become a trend, but usually they become a trend because someone really like dug for it and found it and then used it and everyone liked it.
So can you tell us a bit, I guess, what's the, you know, we think about you, or you work with kind of influencers or kind of creators. What's the difference between an individual, you know, kind of having followers and hitting a few kind of just quirky videos to when do you kind of say, hey, there's a tipping point, like this person is someone we really want to cultivate and we think can bring a lot of value to the platform? There's
really no tipping point. A lot of my team members are creators themselves. I am not, but I'm continuously impressed by my coworkers that have these like former lives as being like famous YouTubers and stuff. They've got really great instinct. And so a lot of times we're able to find people before they really blow up. Or TikTok is really a great company to work for because they really do allow us to sort of like follow our interests, right? Like I have one coworker who came to the company and she just like loved occupational TikTokers. So like your nurses, your chiropractors, your chefs that like work in restaurants. And she just built her entire growth strategy roster around that. And she just found people that she really believed in and liked their content and stuck with them, gave them their growth strategy, and they end up growing over time. So it's not always people that like blow up overnight. Sometimes we take a chance on people that we really believe in. But yeah, it's a lot of instinct, which I know is not what you want to hear.
No, that's perfect. Sometimes it's nice to know that things aren't aren't rigorously determined by some sort of all-powerful, some all-powerful person that we will never know or understand, right?
Yeah.
Another feature of TikTok, or another kind of aspect of TikTok that comes up a lot in my classes, is this phrase of, kind of what side of TikTok are you on, right? There's this almost idea that there's all these almost segregated versions of TikTok in your experience because it's so much driven by the algorithm. How do you, as someone who advises creator, think about these kind of different sides of TikTok? How do you, as a user, think about the fact that there's this algorithm that almost segregates the community in all these kind of unique ways?
Yeah, I mean, I think we mostly advise people to really lean into that stuff. So if you really wanted to make fashion videos and you one time made a video with your hamster and that is like your best performing video of all time, and every time you make a video with your hamster it blows up and they come to us and they're like, I'm on the hamster side of TikTok, what do I do? I would say lean into it. It's like clearly what the people want to see from you. It might not be your version or your vision of yourself, but clearly people like it, so lean into it. As a user, I like that because I can very much sort of like curate what I want on my For You page, right? And by the way, if you are trying to curate your For You page, interact with videos, because this is something that I definitely didn't do when I first downloaded the app. I'm not a big interactor in general, but like videos, comment on them, even if it's just like random letters, share them with somebody. If you want more of that kind of content, that's the best way to get more of that kind of content. It's just to like show the algorithm that you're really into it. And I like it because, yeah, I can sort of be like, a great example is like, right now there's some drama going on in Bachelor Nation. I don't know if any of you guys are viewers of the show, but I saw like a video about it come up on my For You page, and I was like, oh, I want to be like updated on this kind of stuff when it comes out. So I'm going to like really interact with this so I can get on the Bachelor side of TikTok, so that I sort of like know when that news is. And I think in general, this is sort of unrelated, but this idea of sort of like getting your news from TikTok and getting updates from TikTok, I think is going to be a big thing in the future. It's been a struggle right now because you can't guarantee that your thing is going to get on everyone's For You page that day. So we've had a hard time getting news organizations to sort of like buy into TikTok, because things can get outdated very quickly. But when it comes to these like pop culture things, I started getting my updates on these like pop culture things through TikTok. So that's like a side note.
I look forward to the day when we're all getting our news from TikTok. I see
we have a number of news platforms that have started really leaning in after the after January 6th. We had Now This Politics was live streaming on January 6th on TikTok, and it did like really, really well. And so they've started live streaming almost every day. We have other news platforms jumping on every day. So it's coming.
Well, it's this kind of core trend in social media in general, right? Which is what you have is the earliest platforms tend to be bulky in terms of how people create content. And then people learn to remove, for lack of a better word, the fluff, right? And that's what you got into when you got to Twitter. And to me, TikTok is YouTube, is skinny YouTube. You start to realize how, if you wanted to do video, if I'm going to like try to fix my toilet, I look up a YouTube video on how to fix my toilet, and it's like 18 minutes, and the first 10 minutes are like someone explaining all this thing. I'm just like, tell me how to fix the toilet. Mm-hmm. And then I can like find that on TikTok, and it's really quick and snappy, and I can get through it in a minute, and I'm done. So it's interesting, but of course we lose lots of detail when we slim down.
Yeah. Which that is a great point, by the way. I did not know when I first downloaded TikTok that you could go to the search bar and actually search how-tos on things, which you can do.
Okay.
You clearly knew that, but I did not when I was first using the app.
And you're working there now, so that's a good
thing. Now I know.
So I want to take a pause here. I'm going to open the floor to questions. I see we got a couple questions that came in even in the chat. And I just want to caveat, so with these questions, so next, after we got to get through these questions, I'd like to go into some of Emma's story, how she went from Duke to working at TikTok, classes you took, things you found valuable. So we'll get to all those. So let's keep kind of those questions. But if you have questions about content creation on the platform, those would be great. So I see one, Tamara asked, If you're shifting your audience on TikTok, and this is something we discuss a lot in class, it's, once you get an audience, they kind of have these expectations of this is what you're going to produce. And when you try to deviate, you cause problems.
Yeah.
So if you're shifting your audience on TikTok, do you feel like there's any good way to keep your views engagement high from your previous audience, or is it better to kind of create a new account? Is what she's asked.
I think it's fine to shift your audience or shift the kind of content you want to make. I think the biggest issue with that is that you should expect a large drop in followers very quickly when you do that, which tends to freak a lot of our creators out. And so just expect that and be okay with it, and know that you're building a new audience and that they will come. But as long as it took you to build that original audience, you're going to just need that time, and people will leave you, and that's okay. They'll move on. They're going to stay on the hamster side of TikTok if you really want to keep your fashion videos, It's fine.
I really need to figure out how to get on the hamster side of TikTok. I feel like I'm missing out. I didn't know
there was a gopher side of TikTok a couple of weeks ago. It's a big thing.
One of the weird things is, because I study social media, like I'm constantly just looking and exploring things that maybe I'm not interested in, but I'm curious about. And so my TikTok feed is crazy. And if someone actually looked at it, they'd be like, why are you looking at this stuff? No, it's for research. Okay, so we had another question. Do you have thoughts on the paid creator program? Can you talk to us a bit about
Yes,
that?
I have lots of thoughts on this. I think that this is TikTok's biggest challenge, and this is really going to sort of make or break TikTok for the future. Again, YouTube being sort of the obvious comparison to TikTok. YouTube was, I think, 6 years old when they finally developed their monetization strategy on TikTok. We are a 3-year-old company, and we are very much trying to figure out how to monetize very quickly to keep people on, because we know that people want to make money from their social media careers. They're not just posting for shits and giggles. So right now we do have our creator fund. I think that, quite honestly, we need something that's a little bit more sustainable. The creator fund, you've probably seen people complaining about it on TikTok. It's not really getting people as much money as they want. It's very
What does?
Sorry?
So what does get people as much money as they want?
Well, people make money on YouTube. People make their livings on YouTube. People make their livings on Instagram. And right now you can't really make a living on TikTok because we're paying, cents on the view to people. And so when they cash out on the creator fund, they're always like, what is this money? And it's $3, and I thought I had one viral video really blow up. Which, by the way, I wouldn't believe all those videos where they're like, if 100 people like this, I can pay for my cat's surgery. That's not true, because they're not making that much money off of it. But I think more importantly, when I talk about being sustainable with the monetization on TikTok, it's really important to try to figure out a way for people to get sort of outside funding for TikTok, right? So right now, again, on Instagram, for example, people can do sponsored posts. And if I'm an Instagram influencer and I have 1 million followers and an average engagement rate of 2%, I can be I have a guaranteed number of eyeballs that this post is going to get. And you can pay me for that guaranteed number of eyeballs. On TikTok, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. Our users really don't like sponsored videos, understandably. And so that video is probably not going to go anywhere. And so right now, there's no way for TikTokers to sort of sell their audience to advertisers. So there's lots of teams and lots of smarter people than me that are really trying to figure that out at TikTok. But I think it's really important. And I think, honestly, I think if TikTok doesn't figure it out, then that could be the reason that TikTok, has a downfall ultimately. But they're working on it.
That's fair. That's an interesting point. I know. So I'm on Medium. That's where I do most of my work, and definitely I've started to see the kind of the machinery of the Medium as they start to reach out to me and realize I can build an audience. Mm-hmm. And so it's also interesting how each of these platforms kind of brand their reach out teams differently, right? Medium, it's much more curated, and they're my editors, and they sound very fancy. Whereas you got the creator fund, and kind of a much more young, trendy thing. But it all seems clear. I didn't appreciate how much. I mean, people are really making their living on Medium or TikTok or YouTube. Mm-hmm. I'm fortunate enough to be in a place where that's just kind of fun money to me, but it's not poor. But yeah, I imagine if TikTok can't figure out how to help pay people, then And that's kind
Yeah.
of.
And right now, I think the idea behind the Creator Fund was really good, because the idea was that we don't want just our creators to make money, right? We want an average person on TikTok to be able to sign up for the Creator Fund, make a video, and if it blows up, they get paid for it. We don't want it to be that only our creators are getting paid opportunities. So the idea behind it is really great. It's just, right now, it's just being paid for by TikTok. There needs to be some sort of like funding mechanism behind it.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Let's see. We got a few more questions. I'm going to just guess one of them, and then I definitely want to move on to kind of your background and how you got there. So let's see. Sorry, let me find one here. So do you work, so that was interesting. Do you work with every kind of big creator that's on TikTok? Or there, is it kind of a choose whether or not to work directly with TikTok, and there's people just kind of operating totally independently of you and having lots of success?
Yeah, I think it's totally up to the creator. Between me and my team, somebody has probably reached out at some point to all of our big creators. If they are verified, for example, they have been in touch with us to at the very least get that. They probably had like one onboarding call, and then it's kind of like choose your own adventure for them. They can be talking to their growth strategist at TikTok every single day if they want. They can be, sending them each video being like, what do you think of this? What do you think about? Or they can never talk to us, and it can be, we send them emails and they never respond, but they're still blowing up. So they'll come to us if they need us, sort of thing. Very much depends on the person. And a lot of people, and this is a whole thing for you guys to know, but a lot of people have teams, right? They have like people that are running their social media accounts for them. So those people don't really need us. They are like professional social media managers. They can sort of figure out TikTok on their own, and they'll reach out if they have a question, but that's their job. And so they're just kind of like doing it on their own. That's more on like the public figure side of things, but.
Well, yeah, and that's something that I'm constantly talking about in classes. When you see Dwayne Johnson on social media, it's not really, there's an entire organization behind Dwayne Johnson on social media, and it's not really just him pulling out his phone and doing selfies.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a little. I want to start kind of figuring out how you got from Duke student to TikTok, and so a question that kind of came up a lot as I was searching for questions for this that people were asking is, what classes or subjects in college helped you most in preparing for a career in marketing in general?
Yeah, literally none. I know it's not a great answer. I just
answer.
Did not know I was going to be working in this, did not think I would ever. And there weren't that many classes available. There were definitely things I could have done, but I really didn't. I was a public policy major, and I will say, like, something that really helped me just in working in general. I was really, really involved in Panhell when I was at Duke. I was the vice president of recruitment for Panhell one year, and then the president of Panhell the next year. And that really helped me sort of like learn how to manage people, and it's kind of like running a small business, and all the presidents of all the sororities are pretty much running little businesses. And so that helped me in the workforce in general, but I really did not think I was going to be doing this. So
no classes, nothing that we can say, hey, look, your Duke education did something for you?
I mean, my Duke education did so much for me. Like, I learned a ton, and I got my first job out of college and my second job out of college through Duke alums. But there was no real like material that I didn't take any classes on anything marketing or social media. There are a lot of opportunities for that, I think, within the PubPol world, if any of you are PubPol majors, but I didn't take them. I was taking the classes on like terrorism and education policy, and just sort of like what sounded fun, and not doing anything related to that. But I think after college, something that I did through Duke that really helped me, and this is just good general advice for any of you that want to be social media managers, I got really involved with Duke SoCal, like the alumni group, and I started running the social media accounts for it just for free and for fun. And I was like, I know how to use Instagram. I'm one of the younger people here. I can run our Instagram that has really never been used. And that was sort of my first foray into like social media management. And then now, this hasn't come up yet, but I do run at Duke alumni. So I'm actually like work with the Alumni Association part-time to run that account. And the reason I got that job was because I was running Duke SoCal so well. So if you are interested in being a social media manager, I would recommend, find someone who needs help on social media and do it for free for a little bit. While you're in college is a great time to do that. Somebody who has like a small business who would love to offload their Instagram account to you. So do that. And when you're doing it for free, it's like low stakes, super fun. You can just sort of like experiment with stuff. Yeah.
And I'll take this moment then to, shameless plug to the 40-ish people on the Zoom and whoever watches it later. Of course, this is what INE and MMS and Dinin and is partnering up with social media studies. It's to try to start bringing those opportunities to students, because we recognize that it is a career and that there was a huge lack of those opportunities for students. So make sure you join those mailing lists. I'll send you to the social media studies website as well that we're launching. Everyone watching, and so make sure you sign up. In this way we can start spreading around opportunities to take on social media projects. And I get so many emails every week, people asking like, do you know any students who would want to help with social media? And so we want to be able to kind of share those around.
Yes, definitely, because those didn't exist when I was at Duke. Otherwise maybe I would have been doing them. So definitely take advantage of them.
Okay, so another question, just thinking about the kind of opportunities in social media careers, what do you see as the challenges and benefits of working in the this rapidly changing social media industry at kind of this point in in web history?
Yeah, I think what is most likely going to be the career path for a lot of you if you decide to work in social media is working probably for a brand. I think there are just more social media jobs there. And I think the biggest challenge in doing that, what I've seen at TikTok, is a hesitancy to jump on new platforms. And I think, before the last couple of years, I think people were sort of like, okay, it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And like, that's what we have. And we're fine with it. And TikTok coming on the platform really made people realize that like there is room for other social media platforms. And now, I don't know if any of you guys are on Clubhouse, but the sort of like sudden rise of Clubhouse has really made it obvious that there's room for these platforms, but people are so afraid to jump on them, especially from the brand side. They don't know what kind of videos they would make. They don't know, if it's something that's worth spending their time on. So I think if you are going to look into jobs in social media management, I think it's really important to find a company that sort of gives you a lot of autonomy to say, no, I know that this TikTok thing is going to be the next big thing. Please just let me do it. A great example of that is, as a side note, the Aquarium of the Pacific on TikTok. I started working with them right when I joined TikTok. So definitely pre-pandemic. They already had a presence on TikTok. They were making really great videos. Their social media manager was just kind of like, I love TikTok and I wanted to do it, and my boss let me. And now they have a crazy following. They just hit 1 million. They go live every week, and they make money going live through donations because they're a nonprofit. So definitely find a company that's like willing to let you do whatever. And then I think another challenge is that I think the future is definitely video centric. Which is hard when, if you're a brand, it's like, who is actually going to be on camera for you? And, what sort of content feels safe and brand right and informative and exciting. People are so used to static posts, especially brands, and stories that only involve words and polls and that sort of thing. But ultimately, you're going to need a person to get on camera for you. So I think that's a big challenge. So if you want to be a social media manager, and you also might want to be somebody who wants to be on camera, I think that's like a great world to be living in right now. A lot of social media managers I talk to at brands are like, I don't want to be on camera, so I don't know who's going to be doing our TikToks. But yeah, if you can live in that sweet space, then do that.
I'm gonna take a moment to editorialize here and say, the person at TikTok is telling you the future is video, but it doesn't mean the future is video necessarily. As a writer, there's lots of opportunities.
I find that people like on Instagram, no one's doing static posts anymore. It's all about stories. As a user, I really only look at stories now when I go on Instagram. I don't really go to people's accounts and look at their static posts.
Fair. I'm just a big internet out there is what I'm saying. But yes, I do agree that there is, there's certainly a lot more opportunity in video than there ever was, because the technology is enabling it in a way that just never was, right? And that's one thing we should say about, kind of really tip my hat to TikTok when I first discovered it a few years ago. It's like they made video creation so much easier, right? Because there's a lot of overhead to video creation that it kind of removes and abstracts away. In the same way, Instagram made photos easier.
Yeah, my boyfriend, who's also a Duke alum, works in the film industry, and when he was younger, he would like make little videos, right? Like he would make little movies, and he got so mad when he first saw the TikTok app, because he was like, this stuff is available just on your phone for kids now. They can just like do this. I used to have to like video it and cut it apart, and like it's really amazing what TikTok has in terms of video tools.
Can you tell us a bit, how has working in the social media industry changed how you use social media and view social media personally? And how do you think you're doing it wrong?
I'm do as I say, not as I do on social media. So I always tell people I'm horrible on social media. I don't think to post very often. I get a lot of flack from my coworkers that are, like I said, a lot of my coworkers are creators. And they give me a lot of flack. They'll be like, Emma, you haven't made a TikTok in a long time. Why are you making a TikTok? And so usually my TikToks are made because I got some crap from my coworkers. I definitely see the like reality behind a lot of things, which makes social media a little bit less fun. So like when I see pictures of influencers and they're standing in a really weird pose, or like I can imagine that this is like their third outfit that they've shot on the same street corner like 3 months ago. Like I just know how it works, and it's just not as fun to pretend on that sort of stuff. And so I try, like with my own social, I'm very much not like, I try not to be like perfect with it, right? Like I'm not going to go out and like shoot an outfit on the street and post it to my Instagram. It's just not like, I'm just going to like post a picture of my cat and like be fun and try to use the real like social part of it. I think people take social media so seriously now, and really like edit their photos a ton. And, I can't go out with girlfriends without people being like, oh, take a picture of us, we'll edit it for Instagram. It's like, sometimes you just want to have fun. So I'm definitely a little bit disillusioned with it, but I love working in it. And I so admire the people, especially on TikTok, that are creative enough to come up with the concepts that they come up with and to execute them. Sometimes I see videos and I'm like, that's such a good idea. It's so simple, but it's such a good idea. And I would have never thought of it. So.
Any suggestions of like favorite creators or things that you really, that you would push us?
Yeah. So there is, let me think of people that are on multiple platforms. So I'm not just in the TikTok world. There's a creator that I've been really impressed with lately. So her name on Instagram is Freckled Foodie. I would imagine her TikTok handle's the same, but I don't remember. Her name's Cameron Rogers. And I followed her years ago because another food influencer recommended her, and been following her for a long time. She started doing this thing like unfiltered, like the first day of the month, she would do these unfiltered things where people could ask her anything they wanted. And she really answered like any question. People would be like, how much does your engagement ring cost? And she would like tell them like crazy stuff that most people would be like, I'm not going to answer that. And her account has like almost completely deviated from food into being like just this like brutally honest, like life commentary. And she makes great TikToks about it. She's awesome. In a similar vein, there's someone called Be There in 5. I love her TikToks. She does like really deep cuts on cultural things. So it'll be like, she had like a month where she was obsessed with American Girl dolls and like which American Girl doll you had and like what you're like as an adult based on which American Girl doll you had, and like deep diving on these like American Doll, like the books they wrote about them and all this stuff. And I think both of those creators do a great job of exactly what I was saying earlier, of like having Instagram, having TikTok, having podcasts on the side, really like integrating everything that they do across all of their platforms. Those are my two personal favorites right now.
Sorry, I have a burning question
Yes.
about the live stream feature on TikTok.
Yeah.
How successful is that? And is it only like the larger creators that can monetize, or what like makes a creator?
Yeah.
Like,
so we launched that feature at the beginning of the pandemic, like very rapidly. We were like, we need to find something to do for live because Coachella's canceled and all these things that we could like do on live. So it's now very popular and very successful. It took a really long time to get people on board with it. And I still think that it takes a little bit of time for people to like join in on lives, just because they're not really always aware that they're happening. We do send push notifications for them, but how many of you really look at your TikTok notifications? So it's getting there. And then for monetization, there are sort of two ways to monetize on there. We allow a donation sticker, which you can put up for a nonprofit, or if you are the nonprofit, the way Aquarium of the Pacific is, then they can donate, directly to you. So that's not really monetizing for you. And then there's a gifting feature where people can just send you money, sort of like Twitch, which, if you are, it sort of depends on what kind of creator you are that people are gonna actually send you money or not. It's sort of similar to having your Venmo handle in your bio. You might get a couple random people doing it, but there's no great, like, I'm gonna go live for an hour and make X number of dollars feature.
I've seen like Addison Rae make $2,000 like in 1 hour live streaming, but then you see like creators that I guess are like micro influencers, like only around a few million. They also get a lot, I feel, but I think I feel like you almost have to be at a certain threshold of followers for people to want to pay you.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, otherwise, like how else can I like get their attention without paying them?
Yeah. Which I mean, listen, I think it's personally very silly. I don't think I would ever like gift a creator that has millions of followers something on a live stream, but people do it. And yeah, I think the more popular you are, probably the more money you make, that's just the entertainment industry, like I said, I worked at talent agencies beforehand, and it's like the more followers you have on all your platforms and the more movies you've been in recently, the more money you're going to make on endorsement opportunities. And the rich get richer, or the more popular people get richer, which is the reality of it.
Does TikTok try to like discourage ads like that don't go through TikTok? Like if you pay an influencer to market for you, I've heard that you don't want to put the URL in the caption because TikTok will try to kill that video, and they want you to use like TikTok's ad manager and stuff instead.
No, we don't discourage any of that. I think users really don't like it. Like users just hate sponsored posts, and so they're not downvote it. They're just not going to engage with it. But we really want our creators to make money off TikTok. We really do. So if you're doing it through TikTok, if you're doing it through an agency outside of TikTok, I don't think we care. We just, people don't like that. People don't like it on any platform. People want to know what you actually like. They don't want to know what you're like being paid to say that you like.
That makes sense. And I also had a question about verification. Does verification necessarily mean that now they are a partner with TikTok? Because I noticed that are verified get more like views after.
Yeah, no, it doesn't mean that they're really partnered with us. We get a lot of like one-off asks on verification. So like a lot of talent managers will send us like, 40 verification forms at a time. And so it's not like we're necessarily working with those creators. But it just means that somebody from their team or them has at least been in contact with us through like one email to send us that. But it doesn't mean that they're really like partnered with us. You can see if people are partnered with us because if we are paying them something, if we're paying them to do something, they do have to use hashtag TikTok partner. So if you ever see that, then it's a paid video from TikTok.
I see.
Okay, so I just want to wrap up here. I know we're about running out of time, so there's a couple final questions I always like to ask, or one I always like to ask. One I feel like I just got to ask. I know when students when we work with TikTok in class and students like share examples and stuff, and I went up looking at them, like I just go down like a TikTok rabbit hole, and something an hour or 2 or 5 of my life is gone. How do you get anything done at the TikTok office when you're like, your job is to look at TikTok videos? Like,
it is funny that we always joke that that's like the best part of our job, is that you can be watching TikTok in the middle of the day. And also we sit in an open air office. So there are like no offices or anything. So you'll just like, if something is trending, you'll just like hear it in the background all day, because people are opening it on their phones. To be honest, I have worked from home for most of my time with TikTok, so it hasn't been as much of a problem. But I'm still on Zoom calls, and you can hear people open TikTok on their phone to like look up something. If we're talking about a video on a meeting, people will be like, oh, hold on, and you hear it. I don't know how I get anything done, because I can talk myself into going on TikTok because it's for work. So I'll spend hours on there and be like, oh, I was working, so it's bad for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So okay. Okay, last question I do always like to ask all my guests in these scenarios is, if you could teleport yourself back to when you were, junior, senior at Duke, which obviously wasn't even that long ago, what one piece of advice would you give yourself that you kind of wish you knew, if you wish someone would have told you back when you were in all these students' position?
Yeah, I think to have more fun, and I don't mean that in like don't do your schoolwork way. I think that I was trying to be very serious with the classes I was taking, and if I had seen a social media class, I think I would have been like, well, that's not serious enough. I shouldn't take that. And in hindsight, it's like a great class, and it wasn't offered when I was there. But if I had seen it, I wish I would have taken it, and taken classes that just more genuinely interested me and sounded really exciting versus like, I don't know, calculus or whatever. Obviously get your graduation requirements in, but I think I did some extra things outside of that I did not need to do. And aside from that, I think just in general, genuinely follow what you're interested in. Like, I think I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what sounded like a good career, or what was like a serious enough career that somebody from Duke could do. And I think it took me a long time to feel like I can't work in social media because why did I go to Duke then, which is dumb and not a real thing. And all of my coworkers went to like fancy schools too. And just follow what really interests you, I guess.
And out of curiosity, when any of your jobs, how many times has someone been like, "Oh, I see you double majored and minored and were president"?
Never. People don't even ask me about my major or my GPA. Don't care about any of that unless you want to go to grad school. Don't worry about your GPA. Literally, no one is ever going to ask you ever. Most of the time, people will be like, "Oh, Duke basketball," and you're like, "Yeah, great, cool."
That's true.
But that being said, Duke has like the best network ever, truly. Like, use your alums. Like, all my friends that are alumni answer almost every email that they get from current students to have informational interviews. So don't ever feel like you're being annoying or, needy when you reach out. Just like email everybody, talk to everyone.
Yeah. And that's something worth highlighting to everyone on this call. One of the great things really about Duke that it took me a while as a Duke alum to even realize was the Duke network is fantastic. Maybe it's because so many other people hate us. We have to like stick together. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever the case is, start leveraging that network. There's people working everywhere, people like Emma, and they want to help like all of you. So take that opportunity.
So true.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time with us. We really appreciate it. Everyone, if you need to reach Emma, you can find her via Duke alumni. I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, feel free to DM me at Duke alumni. I'm always there. And I'm also in the alumni portal. You can find my email and all. And use that to find other people too.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.